In this video, I'm going to show how I was able to get an Iris garage door controller to work with my Wink Hub 2 and my new Craftsman Garage Door Opener. So here you can see the box to my Iris garage door controller and my Wink Hub 2 smart home hub, and also my new Craftsman Garage Door Opener. And first thing that I wanted to do and confirm was that what I had heard on the internet is in fact true, that this Iris garage door controller, even though you can see right on the box it says it requires an Iris smart hub, and this is a Lowe's proprietary system, you would think, but in fact all of the Irises are Z-Wave based. And so what I heard and read on the internet, that the Iris controller was in fact the exact same thing as the Go Control generic, controller, and made by Linear, and basically the exact same thing, and it would work with a Wink Hub, despite what the box says that it required the Iris. And I did it this way because I was able to purchase this controller from Lowe's. It was on the shelf. I wasn't able to put my hands on a Go Control by Linear controller anywhere. I'd have to buy it off the internet. And also this one was marked down substantially. It was about $30 or $40 cheaper than what I could have purchased the Go Control for over the internet. So I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. So the first thing I did was I mounted the Iris garage door controller up here next to my garage door unit, and you can see that the Iris just has one single wire coming out of it. It's actually two wires, but it's they're together. They come out of there, and then they instruct you what to do with those wires. So I'm going to show that here in a second. Coming around from the other side, this is the back side of my garage door unit, and you can see my hand, the controller is actually mounted up over this way, and I've come around to the other side. And what they instruct you to do is the wires that come off the controller are to just go into the two places on the back of your garage door controller, and they're the same places where the button, the wall controller, goes into the back of your garage door. So if you were to trace these two lines on the right hand side, the left hand side, they would go up this way and go across, follow them across, and down to the button controller. That's how they instruct you to wire it. You're also instructed to mount this little sensor on the top of your garage door. Backing away, you can see it's mounted on the top of the garage door, and that connects wirelessly with the garage door controller that's over there on the other side of the garage door, that the garage door is either up or down. And once I did all that, I then went to my Wink app and did what was required to have the app recognize a Go Control garage door controller. Obviously you won't find an Iris on there. You'd look for Go Control, and the Wink app had that in there, and I did the pairing process, and the Wink app was able to find the Iris garage door controller just as if it was a Go Control, and everything seemed like it was great and going to be working just fine. The problem is, when I first tried to activate the garage door like you're supposed to with the app, the Iris controller beeped and flashed exactly like they said that it would, because it's got a safety mechanism, to an audible warning to let somebody know that it's getting ready to do something with the garage door. We did all that, but then the garage door didn't move, and I thought, oh boy, what's going on here? So then I did some investigating, and I determined what the problem is. Here's an explanation of the problem as best as I can explain it. Older garage door openers, the button, as I indicated, it's connected to the garage door through two wires, and I've traced that before it goes up and over to the garage door opener. And the older garage door openers, this button was nothing but opening and closing of a switch. And so as soon as you press the button, the garage door opener would think you just closed the switch and then it would activate the door. And that's how the garage door controller is designed. It's simply a relay inside there that so when you run those two wires into the back of the garage door into the same place where the button wire goes into, it's just sending an indication that a relay or a switch had been closed and the garage door is supposed to open and close. It's basically saying, oh, you pressed the button. The problem is with these newer garage door openers, and I understand this is the case with the Craftsman, the LiftMaster, and I think Chamberlain, maybe some other ones, is that now this button press, even with the wall controller, is not just the closing of a relay. There's actually a printed circuit board inside here that generates a digital signal, and the digital signal gets sent up to the garage door. So that the way the Go Control works by sending a relay that with simple switches closed isn't going to work anymore. So now I'm in a position of trying to figure out if I can make this work. After looking around on the internet for a little bit, I got some information about working around this problem by hacking into a garage door remote control. Here's where I have one. Convenient thing is that when you buy this, at least my garage door, they gave me two remote controls. So I've already kind of had this remote control popped apart. It's really pretty simple. There's just a little place you put a screwdriver in there, you pop it apart, and on the inside you see a printed circuit board. And I'll point out to begin with that coming from the factory, the center button is already programmed to work with the garage door opener. It opens and controls when you press that button. These other two buttons are programmable for other garage doors that you might have. So this button here corresponds with this button on the inside of the garage door remote control. The printed circuit board is pretty easy to take out. There's just two little clips on either side, and then it just basically lifts out. And then you can see on the other side of the circuit board, the center button is soldered in, and I'm going to show you what happens when you basically short the two legs of the button here. So I've got a little piece of nickel, strip of nickel, and I'm just going to take it and short the two legs of the button on the other side. You can play and figure, see, just activated the garage door opener right there by shorting those two legs. Try to stop it here real quick. There we go. Stop the garage door openers, opening back up. So once you know where those two legs that operate the door, the idea would be that if you can solder two ends of that wire coming off of your Go Control to those two legs of that button, then when the Go Control activates, it's basically closing the switch or a relay, and you're fooling this circuit board into thinking that someone has pressed the button. And hopefully that would actually be the workaround to get the garage door to be controlled by the Go Control. So here you can see this is the bundle, the wire bundle coming off of my Go Control, and I've got it wired together with this wire, red and white wire, that goes up into garage door controller, and that wire goes inside and is soldered to the back side of that circuit board on those two places where I just showed you. And then I kind of had to make my own little exit hole for the wire, and I have this just sitting up here, and it works. So now when I use my app to open the indicate a garage, the door to open or close with the app, it sends a signal to the garage door remote, and that opens the door. So there is no longer any extra wire running into the back of the garage door controller. This is just the wire that goes to the button, just like it comes, the door comes from the factory. I wish I had gotten some video of the wires soldered to the back of the printed circuit board, but it was late and I was tired, and then I didn't really feel like taking it back apart once it was all together and working, because I was worried that since it's kind of delicate, taking it apart just to shoot video might end up being a problem, and I might detach the wires from the board. So sorry. So I'm hoping to be able to show the garage door operating. I've logged into my Wink account from my Amazon Fire, so this looks different than what I normally would use. I would normally use my app on my iPhone, but I obviously can't do that and shoot at the same time. So I'm just going to show, I'm going to choose my garage door, and I'm going to tell it to activate, and then you'll be able to see that it's blinking, and hopefully you'll be able to tell. There it goes, activated. Here, hopefully you can see that wire, as I indicated before, goes from the wire that comes out of the iris, and I just have it connected to another wire that I had soldered into those points on the back of that printed circuit board. And by the way, it doesn't matter which way you have this wired. It can be either one. They're completely reversible. Tell a little story on myself. It's actually a fail from this little project. It's a success in the end, but anyway, this is my garage door button, but this right here I'm holding in my hand is the original one that came in the box, and this is one that I ordered on the internet from someplace for like 20 bucks to replace the original one, because I messed up the original one, and here's what happened. You open the inside of that controller, you can see that there is a, as I indicated, a printed circuit board inside there, and what I originally wanted to do was to run my wire from my controller to this circuit board. That way I would not be using one of my garage door remote controls, and I'd have two extras laying around instead of having the other one dedicated to the Go Control controller. Problem is, when you take this circuit board out of here, you expect to turn it over and see the two places where the button protrudes, and I was hoping to be able to solder on to the two places on the back where that button protrudes. It's only a single button, but where that button protrudes out the back. But as you can see, they've designed this circuit board differently, and those solder holes don't exist. And what I did was I thought, well, I tested it out, and in fact the two legs on this side of this button, if you short those two legs, you can activate the button. So all right, there's the answer. I'll just solder to the front of those two legs the wire that I would need, and I would then run the wire outside of, from here up the wall and around to my garage door, and I would be using the controller, the wall controller, the same way as I'm using the remote control. But what I did, can't really see very well here, in the process of soldering, I was successful. I didn't get any solder down in this little area. Unbeknownst to me, though, I dropped a piece of solder right there in that. I've cleaned that off of there now, but I fried the board. So after I bought a new one, I decided I wasn't going to risk trying that again with my new garage door button controller. Although I think it is possible, if you're really good with a soldering iron, you could solder two leads coming off of either leg right there on this button and get it to work. But you risk, it's a lot of close quarters there. You risk, dropping solder or something in there, and I just didn't want to do it again. Although I think someone who's a little bit more skill with a soldering iron or find some particular method of doing it could make it happen. Because I was almost there. If I hadn't dropped that piece of solder right there, I think I would have been good. I had the wires connected, but anyway, happened the way that it did. So that's my little story. Take it for what it's worth.